Next slide, please. So yeah, in addition to just saying congratulations, it's a tough place to be admitted as a transfer student. So obviously that means you are a highly capable student, and we just want to offer our congratulations to each of you for your admission at UNC. I'm going to today just kind of cover a broad overview of Carolina Housing. This is a lot of the information that we provide for first year students just to sort of get you acclimated to Carolina Housing and what we offer. A little bit specifically about what 22-23 is going to look like. And then I'll have Patrick, my colleague, will share some information about some great residential learning program opportunities that we have. And then our student intern who's with us will sort of share his own experience as a transfer student. Okay, next slide. So one of the things that we do a lot of in Carolina Housing is assess our effectiveness, and to determine whether we are really meeting the needs of our students or not, we survey our students quite often. This just gives you an example of some of the quotes, and we'll show some statistics and things throughout the presentation about what our students are telling us. But the most prevalent thing we hear about living on campus and why it's advantageous to all students is really about proximity and access to faculty members and office hours, events and activities, and just all the things that university life provides. You're more likely to take advantage of those things when you live on the campus as opposed to off. Next slide. All right, so this is sort of a collage of just kind of the activity and what are all of the benefits and things that are meaningful to students on campus. So I'm not going to talk about all of these, but just to say that from just the community that you'll build, sort of represented by that top left picture, Patrick and our staff that work in our residential education group provide lots and lots of programs and activities. And those are intended to get students out of their room and to connect with their peers. This is really the way that you as a transfer student are going to feel connected to Carolina, make the friends that you want to make. And those are going to be the same people that if you choose the next year to live off campus, will probably be the people that you move off campus with. So it's just a great opportunity for you to connect. You'll see pictures throughout the presentation of students and how they decorate their rooms, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what some of our spaces look like. And again, some of just the campus beauty shots and places where our students congregate in and around the campus. Just want to highlight that our housing application is open. So certainly we encourage you after this presentation or by talking to family members, make a decision about living with us on campus. A little bit about our staff structure. I like to say that our staff, our community directors and our RAs in particular, have a passion for working with college age students. So our community directors are full-time staff, typically with a master's degree in a higher education or related field. And these are the 17 full-time individuals who have an office in communities. They live in apartments in the communities, and they are there with chock full of knowledge to help you as a student to be successful at Carolina. So they've gone through rigorous training to really be a fantastic resource for you for both social outlets as well as academic resources for you. So get to know your community director. They're a really important person in our department. Resident advisors, we have, gosh, over 240, I believe, at the last count. These are our student leaders on the campus who live amongst all of our residents and are really there as a resource for you, as a friend, as an upper class student who's kind of been through the experiences of college and really is there to help you to transition to be successful as you're a student as well. We're highlighting some of these positions because they may also be of interest to you to consider applying for. And we will have information on our website and through our social media as we recruit some of these positions. You also have the chance to be an office assistant, which again, the community director works in an office within their community, and that's staffed by student positions. They're there to be, again, a resource for you. If you lose a key, if you need to check out enhancement items, if you just have general questions or need to meet with the community director. So it's a really great, convenient position for any student to be able to roll right out of bed and work right where they live. We also have about 50 resident computing consultants. So if you have an IT interest, these folks live amongst the students spread out in our communities and are there to be, again, a resource for students that might have trouble connecting to the network or just interest in new IT related tools and just strategies for how you can be effective and utilize technology in and around our communities. We have 3 package centers on campus. So those are other student positions that we hire. We have a gaming arena that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we also, through our ResNet and IT program, we hire students who are gaming assistants in that location. So lots and lots of student employment opportunities. We are the largest student employer on the campus. So come work with us. You'll hear more about those. I want to talk a little bit more. We have 2 signature programs. One is for first-year students called the First Year Experience. That program is really kind of an acclimation program, really intended to get you engaged with peers and really to become familiar with all things Carolina. For returning students or upper division students, which obviously we consider you one of those, we have a program that is called Discover More. And this program is a little different from the first year program. Yes, it helps you to get to know your peer group and to acclimate to Carolina, but it's much deeper in terms of its academic connections, as well as career exploration as you're starting to think about your major and what it is you want to do post-college. This is about a programming series that is bringing resources directly where you live, that is really there to help you to become as strong academically as you can and to know those resources to help you to be successful. These are just a couple of our signature programs that are listed here. A big block party where students can kind of get acquainted with others. Safetoberfest that in October has an emphasis obviously on safety on campus, but some great opportunities for you to meet some of our partners across campus. Next slide. So again, one of the quotes that we've pulled out of our data when we do surveys with students is just that fact that students who participate in the Discover More program are more likely to make stronger connections to students who are going through similar stages of your academic career. Patrick in a minute is going to talk about one of our residential learning programs where you can live amongst other transfer students in just a minute. Next slide. So some of our signature spaces, we are really proud of these. These are great locations to really engage outside of or in concert with your academic focus. So I'm going to kind of go around and tell you a little bit about each one of these. The one pictured here on the left is in Carmichael Residence Hall. It is a makerspace. It is the largest bank of 3D printers on our campus. It has 24 3D printers, has a laser cutter, an embroidery machine, sewing machines, and just other tools that help you to create. We partner with a program around entrepreneurial studies in this space. Some students who live in Carmichael consider themselves to be entrepreneurial minded. So oftentimes students who are of that mindset want a space where they can tinker and create, maybe build a prototype to an idea that they have for a business potentially. And they can do that right in the space. you can also just come here just to kind of have fun and make something on your own as well. I'll mention too that in all these spaces that we're talking about, any student, regardless of whether you live in that particular hall or not, has access to use these spaces. So all these have exterior entrance points that allows you to come in when they're open. The Morrison Art Studio on the right, if you are somebody who likes to paint and be creative, it's a great lab space. We have an artist in residence who lives in the building as well and has an office in here. That person is there to assist you kind of in painting techniques and just dabble with art if you're interested in that. Next slide. And here's the really cool picture of our gaming arena. We have over 30 high-end Lenovo gaming systems in this space. And it is as fun and cool as it looks. This is in Craig Residence Hall. Again, an exterior entrance that allows you access regardless of whether you live in Craig or not. But it is the home of Carolina's largest student organization, our gaming club. But any student can come in here just to get a break from academics and to come in and utilize a really cool space. We also have a Carolina cupboard that is in Avery Residence Hall. For any student that may have food insecurity concerns, this space provides staple food products that are available to any student. Just show a one card and you can take a bag of additional food items home with you. So it's just a service that we provide in partnership with another student organization. Next slide. And then our last two, we partnered with our academic and career advising folks to provide office space for them in Hardin Residence Hall. Again, exterior access. So what this allows you to do is to have extended hours and just access in a more convenient location for students who might need to meet with an academic or a career counselor. And the good thing about this program is that we gave them space, but they have to extend their hours into the evening so that they're more available when students are in residence and in their buildings to be able to come down and have access to an academic advisor at 6 or 7 o'clock is really a great feature and benefit. And then we also have spread out throughout a couple of our communities an edible campus garden with fresh vegetables and things that any member of the campus community can go by and pick and get some fresh vegetables as well as different plants and things as well that you can pick from for fresh spices. All right, so just to end this portion, some more statistics. We always try to strive for at least a 90% satisfaction rate. That's sort of our benchmark. And you can see in some of these areas that we're achieving those results. So these are some things that we're proud to say that the students who live with us typically have a really positive experience. They connect with their peer group. They find the resources that they need to help them in their academics to be successful. And we're hoping that you will consider joining us as a transfer student. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Patrick, who's going to talk to you about some of our residential learning programs.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone is super excited. As said, my name is Patrick Prudhomme, and I am the Assistant Director of Student Learning Initiatives. So basically, my role, I get to oversee all the RLPs that we have that I will get to go over today. But the first one, I'm going to kind of go through all of them, but the residential learning programs are essentially a place where you can live with other people who kind of opt into this community for whatever the interest is. And basically we have programs designed around it. We have you have an RA that's intentionally who'll be doing the program, that you have a CD along with a leadership team that usually composes of a different campus partner, all designed to kind of create experiences and programming and interactions all about whatever that kind of the focus area. The main ones we have, of course, is I'll kind of go through all the different ones. We have Pride Place, which is our residential learning program focused on personal wellness, academic success for students of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions at Carolina. This one I actually personally got to oversee when I was the community director in Cobb. It's now currently in Joyner, which is an awesome building, which has spa-style bathrooms, which are pretty great. It also is known for, we have some really fun programs. Some of the ones we've done in the past is we took a tour, we took a group on, we took some transportation over to the Durham Pride Festival, which was a lot of fun. And throughout the year, we have programming through the LGBTQ Center. We have a lot of kind of personal diving deep, learning about yourself and others. Is really just a safe, inclusive place where, you can kind of learn about the community, feel empowered, feel included, and really just get to know each other. So it's a great location. Join a residence hall, which is in Central Campus as well. The other ones we have, two of them, we also have Blue. Blue is our entrepreneurship RLP. This one's really fun because it focuses on kind of like innovation and entrepreneurship. So if you're like, you want to start a business, if you just want to like learn how to make things, we have a partnership with Beam, which I know Rick talked about a little bit earlier, the space like in Carmichael, but you actually get to get training. So our goal is next year to actually, if you're in this RLP, to have the opportunity to get trainings on like whatever you want. So like learn how to use the embroidery machine, learn how to use the 3D printer, how to use the laser cutter, really learning how to make things, because that will truly help you to be able to design, kind of create prototypes. If you ever have the idea of doing a small business, if you just want to learn those things, in the entrepreneurship side is really kind of connecting with different entrepreneurs, different ideas of how you can kind of get yourself out there, how you can become better. So Blue is another one that you all have the ability to apply for. We also have outdoor pursuits and first gen. Those ones you wouldn't be able to apply for, but we also have those just if you're interested about some of the other stuff we offer. They're for first year students or for incoming first year students and like the other ones. And then lastly, we have Transfer United, which is one of the ones I totally recommend for each and every one of you to apply for. But basically Transfer United is the idea of it is that for transfer students, you come in, we want you to have an opportunity to meet other students that are also transfers who may not have gotten, the traditional first year experience that other people had. Our goal in this one is to really promote a seamless transition. So like teaching you all the stuff that you need to know, like what is this whole rushing Franklin Street about? What is this fight song that everybody puts their arms around each other and starts waving back and forth? What's going on with that? Any of the other traditions that you may not have seen your first year because you may have been at another institution, we want you to kind of get involved with the Carolina community very quickly. With Transfer United, we also have opportunities for you to do lots of programming. Like really our goal is we want to connect you to campus as quickly as possible. You have some time to make up for that. You might want to get involved in an organization, whether it's like the Quidditch Club, or you want to learn about potentially getting involved with some gaming crew. You might want to get involved with some professional organizations. Might get involved in Greek life. The goal of Transfer United is to really just get you connected to the campus at large, socially and academically. We want to get the opportunity to, meet professors, meet staff. What are the resources at UNC? You may have come from a school where they had the, insert acronym for this department there. We want you to know what are the acronyms and what does that mean? What is CAPS? What is the Learning Resource Center? What is ARS? Our job is to really connect you and like teach you what all those different things are so that you can be successful here and learn what different resources can help you make your time at Carolina fantastic and make this transition from wherever you're coming from go a little bit smoother with people that are also in the same boat as you. As I said, we have the RAs. We're getting ready this summer. We're kind of planning it to really do a lot more, especially, post-COVID, where as things are, really kicking up next year, we want a full immersion experience where you can really get to know people, get involved, and really take this experience to really get involved with the Carolina community at large. But those are RLPs. If at any point you have any additional questions or want to talk more about it, my email is on the website as well. You can visit, just Google UNC Carolina or UNC Chapel Hill RLPs. It'll show up. You'll be able to find all the websites at housing.unc.edu. It has all the information on all the RLPs along with my contact information.
Thank you, Patrick, for that very, very much. I know Riley is dropping some of those links down in there. John is going to be, he is our transfer representative. He transferred to UNC in his class of 2024. He's going to give us a little bit of a highlight of how it is living on campus and getting the full experience as a transfer student. So John, if you don't mind hopping on for us.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm John. I'm a sophomore, and I transferred in from App State. If you're from North Carolina, Appalachian State. I live in Teague, which is on mid campus, and it's just been a really fun place to live, especially transferring in because you don't really know the area of Chapel Hill yet. So just being on campus like lets you sort of learn, and then it also keeps you close to everything. Like one of my favorite things about living on campus is I can just go to Davis and it's a 5-minute walk away from my dorm. Like my friends who live off campus, they have to be like, okay, well, I have to go home. It's a 20-minute walk and I don't want to be here past dark. And that's just something really nice because you're close to everything. And like for my 8 a.m. last semester, I would wake up at 7:50 and make it on time, which that's a pretty good advantage if you have to take an 8 a.m. And another great thing is like you can be surrounded by transfer students. Like I didn't necessarily do the Transfer United, but I still like in my suite, most of us are transfers and some of us are international. So it's just still nice because you're going to be around transfers. Like my roommates is transfer, and 2 of my suite mates are, and like we all just get to share that experience. And that's one thing I think I wish I would have done differently is try and go into Transfers United just because you're around the same people who have the same experience as you. But I definitely don't I definitely do recommend living on campus for your first year of transferring just because it like sort of gives you a lay of the land. And it's honestly just a really good advantage because it's cheap, close to everything, and it's just honestly a fun experience. I've met so many people through there, and transferring can be hard. So just like having that community right when you move in, it's an amazing thing to have. And then I see a question in the chat. Are you planning on living on campus next year? So I weighed my options and I'm part of an outside organization. So I'm actually going to be living off campus next year, but I did want to live on campus, but my roommate did not want to. So unfortunately, I will not be living on campus.
Thank you, John. Thank you for giving your input. If you can hang out for us, John will be here for the rest of the presentation. So if you do have any additional questions for him through the question portion, he will be here. So I'm going to hand it back off to Rick.
Great. So yeah, at this point, we're pivoting to any questions that you might have. And I think Haley and Riley are gonna have been responded to some and posted some things in the chat, but let me ask them to see if there are some questions we have not answered.
Currently, we do not have any questions unanswered. I do want to highlight our 2022-2023 transfer roommate finder. If you take out your phones and scan the QR code, if you are on your phone, no worries. We will be putting this up on our website. Our GroupMe is an opportunity for students to connect before they apply, and it is for UNC students only. You do have to have a UNC email to be able to log into this particular GroupMe, and it's just an opportunity for transfers to meet other students outside of our application process. We do, and Rick, maybe you can hit on this for us a little bit, the roommate finder options within our application as well.
Yeah, and just so folks can hear some different voices, I know Stephen Wiley, who's our Assistant Director for Assignments, is on. So I'll ask if Stephen can handle kind of the all things roommate question. And
hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Awesome. So within the housing application, there is the roommate search tool. Using that tool, you can identify potential roommates. You can message them. Some students like to share their social media contacts or cell phone to have more in-depth conversations. And part of the application as well, you can elect to create a roommate group. So roommate groups can be anywhere from 2 to 8 students. With transfer students, the larger the roommate group, the harder it is to assign all of you together. So we do recommend kind of limiting that as close to 2 as possible. But within the application, you create the roommate group, and then when we make your assignments, we work to assign you together.
Stephen, can you answer a question for us really quick? If we apply to Transfer United, should we still find roommates?
If you apply to Transfer United, I would say continue with the roommate process. Transfer United is a separate, the RLPs are separate processes within themselves. Not everyone will get into the RLP. So that if you don't get into the RLP, you're then also working to find another roommate so that outside of the RLP, you could live with somebody you prefer.
And just to add to that, so both students would need to be admitted into Transfer United in order to be roommates in Transfer United. So kind of two separate things. One is you can pick a roommate if you're not going to go for Transfer United, but if you do, you want to make sure you're selecting somebody who is also interested in that same program.
Thank you very much. When would I know acceptance for Transfer United?
I can answer that one for Patrick. So the Transfer United RLP is on a rolling basis. They're reviewing applications as they come in. This is when they probably will see most of the applications. So they're probably waiting to see some of them that come in to get an idea of who they feel is the best fit for the program. Once they review your application, though, you'll get an email letting you know if you've been invited to the program or if there's no space available. So just continue to check your email, and they're probably going to start moving on those pretty quickly as we're approaching the end of the spring semester here.
And yes, all the Transfer United program are all housed in Carmichael.
How would roommates work if I would like to live in Ram Village?
Roommates would work the same in Ram Village as they would elsewhere on campus. Ram Village is just going to be harder to get into because it's due to the demand of Ram Village. It's harder for us to find a space for two students to go into the same apartment. If you're a transfer student looking at having preferred roommates, I would say you can definitely shoot for Ram Village, but have backup plans in some of our corridor and suite style halls because they're more likely as a roommate pair.
We've got one about what are the most popular residence halls for sophomores and transfers?
So Stephen, let's tag team that one. So I'll start by saying that, again, I would say our most popular either room type or building location for upper division students is Ram Village. A lot of our suite style buildings, with Morrison being one of the more popular buildings. Single rooms obviously are popular. That is probably the one area where we don't anticipate having much capacity for transfers, unfortunately. But I do want to clarify that in Ram Village Apartments, 4 of the 5 buildings, the bedrooms are private bedrooms. So you share an apartment with typically 3 other students, but it's a 4-bedroom private bedroom apartment setup. But suite style buildings in general are more popular for a lot of our returning students. So buildings like Carmichael and Avery and Parker and Teague and Horton and Craig North are also some really popular options for transfers and returning students. Do you have anything to add to that, Stephen?
I would also add our sophomore specific program in Morrison is a great opportunity where we do have space available. If you are a rising sophomore coming to Carolina, that would be a great opportunity to get connected with students on campus with those within your own academic class.
Thank you guys very much. Is it easy to get a single as a transfer?
Singles on our campus are challenging no matter what your academic standing, just because we have so few of them. Private room in Ram Village is more likely than a single room just because of the volume. We have almost twice as many private rooms within Ram Village Apartments as we do singles on campus.
Thank you, Stephen. Are you required to have a meal plan if you live on campus?
Yeah, so we are one of the few campuses that does not have any mandatory meal requirement. That includes for first-year students. So certainly as a transfer student, there is not a meal plan requirement. However, most students who live on campus have some meal plan, typically not a full like 19 or 21 meals a week, but many will have, and we sell all kinds of variations of our meal plan, including block plans where you can just purchase a number of meals per semester. So our campus dining folks have lots of variety and options for you that are lower cost and lower meal usage too, but not required.
Thank you, Rick. Riley is going to be dropping in a link that is directed to our residence halls. You can filter our residence halls based on area location of campus, the style of residence hall, whether that be a shared 2-bedroom or Ram Village specifically. So definitely take a look at that link there, and it'll give you an idea of the available halls to you that aren't just first-year halls. So going into our next question, what would on-campus housing options be for people with an approved emotional support animal?
So if you have an approved emotional support animal, there are no restrictions as to which residence hall or room type you can reside in on campus. We just may work with your assignment if you're matched up with a student who may have an allergy or a fear of living with an emotional support animal.
Thank you, Stephen. And Riley will be dropping in that website page that we have for any type of medical or special requests or accommodations. For what would be the priority housing deadline for our transferring students?
That's a really good question. So the date that that the student here has referenced is May 15. That's the priority date for our first year students. We really don't have admissions. Sometimes we'll use a June 15 date for transfers, but as Stephen and I mentioned earlier, we assign transfers in the order that applications are received on a rolling basis. So that is how we will continue whether you apply on May 15, June 15, or July 15. So there's no end date. The application will remain open, but typically we do fill up. So we do recommend that as soon as you've made a decision about an on-campus option, that you go ahead and complete the application.
Thank you, Rick. If you have any other questions, definitely please drop them into the chat now and we will get those answered. As you can see on our thank you slide here, we do have our social media platforms listed on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We definitely encourage you to follow us as we send out important reminders on a regular basis about priority housing deadlines, move-in tips, tricks, information, and some highlights of our different spaces. So I see we got another question. Is it possible to access this recording at a later date? Absolutely. We will be posting this. It usually takes about a day, about 24 hours for us to get it downloaded, posted, but it will be available on our website under our news section, as well as on our YouTube channel.
I think, Haley, there's one that Chris Bennett had asked about a specific residential hall or a hall where transfer students have priority. So the answer to that is really Transfer United is the transfer priority. There will not, obviously in that ROP, there will not be any students who are not transfers in it. But the rest of the spaces I mentioned at the beginning, our returners have gone through room sign up. We have the capacity to house probably around 400 plus transfer students out of the 800 that will be admitted. So we have plenty of space, but none that are specifically outside of Transfer United that are designated or reserved or prioritized for transfer students.
Can you speak a little bit about move-in and move-in dates and times?
Stephen, you want to take that one?
Sure. So the move-in dates will be August 10th through the 14th, with classes starting on the 15th. When you receive your housing assignment, you would get information about scheduling your own specific move-in time. The way that we do move-in is that you have a 90-minute window to arrive on campus. When you pull up to your residence hall, parking and attendants will give you a parking pass. You have 45 minutes to unload your vehicle there. And But bigger picture is you will select your specific move-in date and time that is specific to your building. And you can't do that until you receive your housing assignment.
Thank you. And just to clarify, transfer applications are on a rolling basis, unlike first years, which the priority housing deadline is May 15th. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And just so people understand, so that priority date, even for first years, doesn't mean that we don't assign first years after that date. But those that apply by May 15 are in our first assignment run for first year students. But yes, transfers continue to apply as they come in. We make assignments, and there is no priority date. Correct.
Perfect. And I see the question about what are some activities in RLPs that students spend 2 to 5 hours a week completing. So some of those activities are, we have, the biweekly meeting that most of the RLPs have, which is where you meet with the RA, and the rest of them, which is where you either do a program, kind of talk about what's going on in the building. You might talk about things happening on the floor. The other events could be attending, so different ones have different, requirement or different activities. So they might be actually attending the programs that we talked about. So it could be attending a program across campus. It could be, I know some of them have like a service component, so it could be doing some service hours. So depending on the RLP, for TU specifically, it's mostly attending different programs across campus or attending the meeting with the rest of the RLP folks as well, which could be something fun. I know they did, like last year, they do pick up soccer games sometimes. Sometimes they'd have a day of the week where they'd all get together and cook on Sundays. It really just depends on what y'all as a group want, because really a lot of the TU is really norming around what y'all want. But usually it's more of like fun activities or engagement activities to kind of get to know campus and each other.
Hey, Stephen, I'd like to ask you Sophie's question in a slightly different way, if that's all right. So we talked about that we encourage folks to use the roommate finder tool in the application to create a roommate group. You can do from 2 to 8 people. But what happens when a student who, say, is the 200th transfer to apply, and they have a roommate requested, but there are not any empty rooms to assign 2 people to? How does that work?
So when we go to make the assignment for, say, it's a roommate pair and there's no more rooms that we can assign them together, we're going to do all that we can to assign them close together. So if, for example, I have a double room with 1 vacancy on a floor and another double room with a vacancy on that same floor, we would assign them to those 2 separate spaces. And then those students would have the opportunity to, once they receive their assignment, reach out to their new roommate and ask if they would be willing to swap assignments around so that they could get matched up with their preferred roommate. And we have a process called room swap that we would go through to kind of still work to try and get them together, even if we didn't have a vacant double that we could put the both of them in.
So there's a question, Stephen, too, about if you submit an application, but you select a roommate maybe at a later date, is there a cutoff to which you can add a roommate?
So once we do your assignment is set. So when you submit your application, you can obviously make edits to your preferences, roommates, but when we start making those assignments, and we make that assignment, your assignment is set. So if you identify someone that after the fact, you'd either work through room swap or room reassignment to get matched up with that preferred roommate.
Thank you, Stephen. We do still have a little bit of time left for us. So if you do have any additional questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat.
All right. Well, hearing none, we just want to say thank you to all of you for attending. I see a late question just got added. Maybe a couple. Okay, so if my application is in by May 15th, I will know what my assignment would be. So Stephen, do you want to talk about sort of when you really get going on making assignments for transfers, regardless of what date they've applied?
So we've started to do transfer assignments for anyone that's in a roommate group, just identifying vacant doubles that we have right now to match them up. We will start on a rolling basis towards the end of May to really narrow down and start making all the transfer assignments. And then we'll just continue to make those throughout the course of the summer as transfer students apply. So I would expect to receive, if you're a transfer student, that if you haven't received an assignment yet, you would receive that no later than June 10th, because we are going to start doing our first year assignments here soon, with their deadline being May 15th. So that 2 weeks that we're working on those, we stop all transfer assignments. So late May, we won't work on any transfer assignments, just focusing on our first year. But by June 10th, you should have all of the assignments, and then they'll be on a rolling basis thereafter.
I see a question about bringing a car on campus. So yeah, there is limited parking on our campus, like probably many college campuses for students. We have a process that involves our parking office along with student government that prioritizes individuals who are requesting to bring a car onto campus. It is by seniority, but then it also has exceptions for students who might have some kind of off-campus employment, or maybe any kind of responsibility for parent or child care or sibling care, like off campus. So there are some exceptions to that, but generally a student's ability to park in close proximity to their residence hall is probably less likely than it is more likely.
Thank you, Rick. And Riley has dropped the move.unc.edu link into the chat, so that if you do have any additional parking questions, you can definitely find that information on their website. Our housing application, it is not due May 15th. I know that we've said that a couple of times. June 15th is kind of what has been communicated by our admission staff. However, we'll be accepting applications on a rolling basis throughout the summer.
Yeah, and I would follow the specific guidance from the admissions office on your decision to accept or decline an offer to attend Carolina. I don't know whether it is a May 15 priority date. Actually, it's May 1 for first year students. But if you've received materials from undergraduate admissions that has May 15 as a date where you should acknowledge acceptance to come here, then you certainly should do that with the admissions office.
So final call, here we go. Thank you. Any other questions? Final call for final questions. All right. Well, thank you all again so much for joining us today. Please follow us on social media. Please join our parent newsletter. We also have a Carolina housing blog that's available that has many tips and tricks about living on campus. So, and thank you to all of our presenters today. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you all.